Hi everyone. I would like to discuss our next topic today, which is squares and rhombi. So we're going to start with rhombi, which is a rhombus. Rhombi is just plural for rhombus. A rhombus is a quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides. So if I go ahead and label this, okay, it has 4 congruent sides. Opposite sides are congruent, so a rhombus is also a parallelogram. It has all the properties of a parallelogram, okay, which means these would also be equal, okay, because these bisect each other, okay. Rhombi also have the following properties. Their diagonals are perpendicular, so these are all right angles in here. Each diagonal bisects a pair of opposite angles. So just like the parallelograms, the opposite angles are equal, but they're also being bisected or cut in half. So this angle is congruent to that, making these also congruent to that. So the opposite angles are equal along with the little bisect, the little halves of them. Same thing on this side, they're just equal to the ones opposite. So these are different than those. Okay. Similarly to a parallelogram, though, these angles should add to 180. Okay. If the diagonals of a parallelogram are perpendicular, then the figure is a rhombus. Okay. So I think we labeled our rhombus pretty good here. Now let's go over some problems you might see about a rhombus. So this first one says that angle ABD, so this angle here is 60 degrees. I'm going to zoom in a little for you. Find angle BDC here. Okay, so those angles, based on what we did up here, they're opposite. They should be equal. Okay, even though they're halves, they should be equal. So you would just say that angle BDC equals 60 degrees. Over here, they're saying AE is 8. Find AC, the whole thing. Well, we did tell you based on this picture, these should be congruent. So if that's 8, then this is 8. The whole thing would be 8 and 8, which is 16. This is another easy one here, CEB, that should be a right angle. All of those insides are right angles. So angle CEB should equal 90 degrees. Okay, over here, this one looks a little more challenging. AB is 26. BD, this diagonal, is 20. Find AE. This is a tough one. Okay, so I want you to take this apart and just look at this little triangle. So this is 26. This is a right angle. Okay, we know that. This whole diagonal is 20, which means half of it would be 10. Okay, and this is that A, B, E. Okay, I'm just pulling it out so it's easier for you to see. And they told you that this part AE is what we're going to find, so X. Now, most of you should recall here, this is a right triangle. Any way to find a missing side in a right triangle, I can always use Pythagorean theorem. So, I'm missing my calculator. Hold on. Oh, there it is. So now 26 is the hypotenuse, so that has to go in for C. My x squared and my 10 can go in for A or B. It doesn't matter. 10 squared is 100. 26 times 26 is 676. So now I'm going to subtract 100. Get x squared equals 576. And the square root of 576 is 24. So AE is 24. So that's a tricky one. So definitely want to focus on that. Okay, let's go over one that has some algebraic expressions in it. So I'm going to go down here. AD is 2x plus 4. CD is 4x minus 4. All of the sides in a parallelogram in a rhombus are congruent. All 4 of these sides. So I would say 2x plus 4 equals 4x minus 4. I'm going to subtract 2x, add 4. Got 8 equals 2x, so x is 4. Okay. One more like this. I'll scoot over to this one. Angle CDB is 6y. Angle ACB is 2y plus 10. Find y. Okay, so this is a tough one too. So what I do know is that these angles are supplementary, so they add to 180. I also know that they gave me the halves of those, so I know that this is 6y. So this total angle would be 6y plus 6y, which is 12y. Okay, so I have 12y plus, they had 2y plus 10, so I'm going to add another 2y plus 10. That gives me 4y plus 20. So those combined is this. These two angles, so you have to double both of these because they only gave you half of the angle. So double it, you get this. Double this one, you get 12y. Now I add those together to equal 180, because these two angles should add to 180. That gives me 16y plus 20 equals 180. 16y equals 160, so y is 10. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and we're going to talk about squares. Squares have all the properties of a rhombus and a rectangle. Okay, so squares are a little bit different because these corners are all right angles like a rectangle. Okay, these are also perpendicular. All the diagonals are perpendicular, just like a rhombus. All our sides are equal. All of these are equal. All of the halves of the diagonals are all equal. Okay. It also, these cut it in half. So if this is cutting a right angle in half, this has to be 45. My cat is turning my printer on. Hold on. Okay. Okay. All right. So find the measures of each numbered angle in this square. Okay, I'm going to zoom out for this. Okay, find the measure of each numbered angle of square ABCD. So angle 1, that should be 90 degrees because it's in there. 2 should also be 90 degrees. Okay. Remember, these are all 45, just so we don't get confused. So angle 5 should be 45. So should angle 4. And angle 3 should also be 45 degrees. Okay. Now let's do it with a little bit of algebra here. So angle 1 we already said was 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and set this expression equal to 90 just to solve it. So I'm going to subtract the 40 and I get x is 10. Okay, this one over here says angle 3 is 8x plus 5. We set up here angle 3 is 45. So I'm just going to set this equal to 45. Like I said, these can be pretty easy because we do know what a lot of the angles are. So x is 5 here. Now here I have AD is 3x minus 6. AB is 2x plus 7. Well, guess what? All the sides in a square are congruent, so I can just set these equal to each other to solve. So when I do all that work out, I get x equals 13. Okay, we have like another 2 minutes before I run out of time on the video. So I'm just going to do one more rhombus problem from this side. So I'll do this one here. A is 3x minus 1. AC, the whole thing, is 16. So you should know that this should also be 3x minus 1. Those should be equal. So I can just do 2 times 3x minus 1 equals 16. If you're not comfortable with that, you could have wrote it as 3x minus 1 plus 3x minus 1 equals 16. Either one you like. If I do it this way, I have to distribute that 2. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Then I'll add my 2. I get 6x equals 18. So x is 3. Last one here, CBD is 58. What is angle ACB? Remember, this is 90. So you have 90 and 58 and the other angle in there. So this gives me 148. This other angle, triangle, so it should add to 180. So just take 180 and subtract that 148, and you get 32 degrees for angle ACB. Hopefully these problems help. If you have any questions, please let me know or attend a video call. Okay, have a great day.